Okay, I have some questions for you because I had them when I was myopic. And the question comes down to this: is it a fraud? And what is a fraud? Is Steiner a fraud? And if you want to know that, you ask the question of money: who is making the money? And can optometrists offer you prevention where you don't make any measurements? And that's fraud. Or if they're selling you a treatment like slow down the rate at which you go from 2050 to 2080 to 2100, what are they selling exactly? Certainly at big bucks. I mean, there's always a charge when you have your refraction measured with a retinoscope, a phoropter, and anything else. That's expensive. Now, I talk about direct measurement, which means I put a Snellen and measure my refractive state as classical and standard and as accurate as it ever could be because I know how to do it and I've been doing it for the last 17 years. So, are there any risks associated with that? Or parenthetically, is there risks to wearing a plus correctly to maintain 20/20 for life? That is the question. If you think there's risks to wearing a plus for prevention when you're 20/50, forget it. Because if you think if there is, you're not going to do it. That's one issue. The other issue is it tedious? Is it too worrisome for me to wear a plus for prevention when I'm 20/40 in order to go to a positive refraction and therefore 20/20 for 17 years? So the issue of tedious is something you have to answer for yourself. This is what Jacob Rafelson encountered with everybody. And for 120 years, the person complains that it's tedious. If a medical person recommends it, it will be tedious and you won't do it. So, Jacob Steiner, and his active focus. I totally agree with him. Going to reduce minus, if you can, will result in the refractive state of the fundamental eye changing in a positive direction. It's extremely slow, but that's the right idea. The problem is if you're -5, half diopter, it's going to take you 10 years to get anywhere close to 20/20. You shouldn't have started wearing a minus when you're at 20/50 or 20/60. Who will help you? Certainly not an optometrist who believes that all eyes are bad cameras conceptually cannot help you because, in my opinion, all eyes are controlling their refractive state through the accommodation signal. It's a control system in pure science. Depends on how pure you can be in science. Nevertheless, prevention's difficult. If some third party does it, you have the problem of measurement accuracy and money. It's going to cost a lot of money and it probably won't be effective if your goal is to go from 20/50 to at least 20/30. And that's why I use a Snellen. I don't understand why nobody looks at Snellen. It's very clear that people reading this see a recommendation to put up a Snellen and at least pass the 20/60 and then work to at least 20/40 and better. In other words, pass the GMV. That's why I say circle the lines on the Snellen so you can read them at 20 feet. That's how I started this. Because I couldn't read a Snellen and know which line I was actually reading. So I read a big 60 on the 20/60 line. So when I was 20 feet away, I could tell, yes, I'm reading the 20/60 line. Virtually nobody does this. If they do, tell me, please. So as far as fraud, I'm not making money doing this. This was for my immediate relatives so they don't repeat my mistake and destroy their vision and their kids' vision. The same philosophy as Jeff and Rupa Wong. Even they can't help you because they're preventing it before the kids' refraction is negative. And the discipline is 16 hours a day with their kids to do that. So that's why I maintain this site for my meat relatives who may take it seriously or not seriously. But to my knowledge, they always pass the DMV. And that's why I say pass the DMV so you don't go to an office and get an exam with a phoropter and everything else that's wrong with measurements in an office. My measurements are clean. I just know how to do it and I've been doing it for 16 years. I only wish that parents are better organized to understand prevention while it's still possible. But there's no organization in optometry who has that goal. Their goal is to make money and sell minus lenses. It is not prevention by any standard. Could they do better? The only person who did better was Jacob Rafelson with his own kids, because he did what Jeff and Rupa Wong doing, kept their eyes off the page. You don't even need a plus lens for that. But the plus lens is highly recommended because for me, it's low cost, certainly. Looking to sell is low cost. The materials I need for do what I'm doing is low cost. If you're passing the DMV, which is my standard, or a little worse than the DMV, prevention long term. I suggested this at an aeronautical college where the people understand science and engineering. The public does not understand it, and it's tedious. So the only issue if you're 2060 is can you do something that's tedious and you don't understand. If you don't understand, don't do it. Makes logical sense to me, which is why I wrote a book for free on this whole issue. Again, you can't ask a medical person to help you. Really, you can't. He just can't because it is tedious. And if he suggested doing anything, this is why he won't. You can sue him for malpractice. That shuts down everything. And that's right. And he's right to do that. He's right to keep silent because he can't give you prevention. And if he did suggest anything, that would be Kaisuvilikari. You're not going to do it. You don't like it. It's tedious. You don't see why you do it. And the only way you change that is have you personally make the measurement, understanding how extremely difficult prevention actually is when you're 2050. I don't see anybody doing this except people with extremely important reasons. And they're electrical engineers. With due respect to mechanical engineers, they don't understand control systems. The electrical designing control system, it's obvious that the eye needs a reference signal. And at birth, there's only one reference signal, and that's the accommodation system. The whole eye is a complex and highly sophisticated system, which we say is effective because we don't understand it. As a matter of fact, we don't understand. People don't want to understand because it requires time, effort. And obviously, through high school, I would have been wearing a plus vernier and personally verifying I was always doing better than the DMV. If you use that as standard, you might actually have success. Not said that Jake Stein is a fraud. And then he rejected the plus because, well, that was tedious. So where are we? What are we doing? What are you doing? How important is any of this to you? I suspect it's not important. It's casual conversation, but it's not important. For Jeff and Rupa Wong, it's important, but they can't help you because you don't want the help. You don't understand it. Only dedication to you parents makes prevention successful. And they are certainly looking at Snellen and keeping their refractive state positive. And that's beyond the scope of any medical process, any optometrist, any ophthalmologist. They just can't do it and won't do it. Add your own commentary, and thank you.